What is up, guys? We're back for career mode, and I mean it this time. Unless Codemasters want to rudely interrupt with some more early F1 2021 footage. If you've been living under a rock, yes, we've had some early F1 2021 gameplay come out. Feel free to go check it out on the channel. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe so that when the new game does come out, you guys are the first to see it, because you guys know, come day one, career mode will be happening among many other series. It's going to be a very busy time on the channel, so make sure you stick around for that. But welcome back, guys, to another episode of career mode. This is episode number 102, and for the first time ever, I've accidentally accepted to go into the invitational event. So, yeah, the boys flew me all the way out to France, only for me to give up within about 5 seconds. So, sorry about wasting everybody's time. Anyway, we move on with the facility upgrades, or just R&D upgrades coming in. We're on a charge back through the ranks in F1. If you're new to this series, this is the creator team journey, and we're 6 seasons deep into this. We were at the top. We won a couple of constructors and drivers standings, but rules and regulation changes have knocked us back down. But we are on the rise back to the top here in Formula 1 to see out this game. Unfortunately for us there, that was a major failure for us. The engine, the ultimate engine upgrade, which we were aiming to get on in time for this race here in Austria, has failed. So that's going to set us back quite a bit, especially when you see how quickly the other teams are developing. So I really could have done with that upgrade. I reckon it would have been worth at least 2 or 3 tenths per lap. So to be without that performance is going to be a bit of a setback to our growth, I'd say. But anyway, here we go for the race weekend proper, and I don't know if you've noticed it already, but I'm having major throttle issues, particularly out of slow speed corners. Now, this is to do with my racing wheel, my in real life racing wheel and pedals. I don't know what this was. This was really weird, and I'm not afraid to say that I used flashbacks in this session just to get it working. But basically what was happening is I'd have to put down about 50% travel into the throttle for it to get any feedback out of it. It just was a bit of a nightmare, really. So yeah, my response of getting on the power was massively delayed, and so here I am just playing around with the settings, trying to get it working. We're increasing the throttle saturation, which basically increases the sensitivity, but the problem with that is it doesn't increase the sensitivity of going from 0 to 1. It increases the sensitivity of getting to 100, so it was not linear at all. So I'd get on the power a little bit. Well, no, I'd have nothing until about 50% throttle, and then just after 50%, I'd go from essentially 0 to 100 to full throttle in no travel at all. It was it was undrivable. It was impossible, as you can see. I'm taking turn 1 multiple times. In the end, I did away with the throttle saturation, and basically what I had to do for this whole race weekend now is just deal with the problem. So now I've got to put in about 40-50% throttle travel to get any throttle out of this car. It was really weird to deal with, but at the end of the day, even though it was a scruffy qualifying sim lap, we still got top of the session by virtue of no one else using the soft compound tire. So at least we've got that. But yeah, not a good problem. I'm hoping that this problem is only isolated to this episode of career mode, because what I actually did last night is I did a stream on Assetto Corsa, and the throttle was fine. So fingers crossed, by the next time I go sim racing or uploading career mode or whatever, it'll be okay. Maybe it was just a bit of dust getting into the throttle and affecting it. It is a really old pedal set that I've got going now. It's good 3, 4, 5 years old, I don't know. But anyway, we'll deal with it. Time for qualifying for the Austrian Grand Prix. right, so here we go then for qualifying for the Austrian Grand Prix. Still that throttle cloud hanging over our head. Speaking of clouds, we're going to have some rolling in the next 15 minutes with a bit of rain set to hit. So we'll hopefully get out there very shortly and get a banker time in, because the last thing you want to do is be caught out there without a time on the board. Here's the setup, just in case you guys wanted to have a look at it, because it's going to be raining, and well, just because it's a 100% race, I also want to kind of soften off the car a little bit from what is essentially a time trial setup, the setup that I used in my Austria League racing video. Arguably, it's really tough because I'm running 2.6 wings and the car is not going to feel great on high fuel, you would have to say. But 2.6 wings is a really good compromise, and it makes you very, very potent in the race when it comes to overtaking and defending. So we're gonna bear with it if we can. Let's just hope that we can qualify well and well, not lose any positions off the start. So here we go into qualifying now. We've got a time that's good enough for P12, but we are on the charge with a 2.5 improvement, which sees us go into the top 10 at the end of Q1. Q2, though, is going to be raining, so this is going to be the real test of our quali/time trial dry setup. We are going purple, though, to the first sector, which is absolutely lovely to see. So in this section of the circuit, we are pretty fast due to the low downforce, but we lose a bit of time, or quite a bit of time, through the high-speed stuff. And again, we're still nursing that throttle problem. So you can see I am struggling still, but as the weekend wears on, my reference or the goalposts that have been moved, you know, I get more used to that, and it becomes easier to deal with over the course of the weekend. Now here, Pierre Gasly just completely ruins our quali session. I was on a cooldown lap, I was circulating around, getting ready to go again, and what does he do? He just lobs off our front wing twice. Thanks, mate. We were in P1 at the time and unable to do another time. So now we're just sitting and waiting to see if anybody improves and knocks us off our perch. Well, everyone did, and we went down to 9th place. But thankfully, we're still through to the final part of qualifying. Nicholas Latifi looking very, very fast in the wet. Unfortunately for him, though, there's no more rain for the rest of the weekend, at least on the forecast. But here we are at the end of qualifying 3, and the time against our neighbours is 101.8. I think we need another 2 or 3 tenths to challenge for pole. Unfortunately, no sub 60-second lap times here at Austrian this season. That's because everybody's being nerfed by the rule changes. Cars are a lot slower this season. But regardless, we won't let that slow us down as we go through the last 2 corners. Absolute perfection through the last one. Maximizing the track limits up to the line. It puts us in 4th place on the grid for the Austrian Grand Prix. Only 2.5 tenths away from the pace setter, which, you know, when you consider the problems, when you consider the compromises in terms of setup, I actually think that's a really solid shout. And as well with the engine upgrade not going on the car. All those things could have been on pole easily. But let's go to the race.
Good afternoon and welcome to Spielberg, and to a circuit that in one form or another has held every Austrian Grand Prix in the championship, except the very first back in 1964. With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Day, Gasly, Sebastian Vettel, and Leclerc, Norris, Latifi, Ocon, and George Russell, Kvyat, Sainz, Alexander Albon, and Stroll, Hubert, Aitken, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Nick de Vries, Ireland, Magnussen, Schumacher, and Nobuharu Matsushita. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
A penalty then for my new golfing buddy, Alexander Albon, means we start in 3rd place on the grid. So handy little scalp there for us. We need a big result today. This was the race when I started the season that I set out to be winning by. We have Silverstone coming up next after this one, and we know that is going to be a really difficult task, probably to even score points. So we need to win this race to get some comfort back in the standings. But yeah, with all the problems that I've spoken about, the throttle issues, setup compromises, we are really going to be tested on what is normally an easy track for us. Away we go for the Austrian Grand Prix, and getting the car off the line was not an easy task. I really had to find that delicate balance, but we just about did enough there, and we hold on to our starting position, which is probably the hard part over. Now, we just need to stay with these guys, these race leaders, through these opening laps, because I know that the early stages are going to be quite difficult for us with our low downforce, and with the car being so heavy, it means that the car is going to be sliding around quite a bit. You can see I've lost a bit of touch to the top two already, and Pierre Gasly attacking me down into turn 1 has not helped matters either. We've fallen outside of DRS range as the yellow flag is now brought out through the last 2 corners, and this is why. We've got an Alfa Romeo pulling into the pit lane, and that is, I think, Matsushita making contact there. Rather unfortunate, but thankfully they are able to carry on. There's no safety car, there's no retirements in this race, and we are good as gold once again. Here comes Pierre Gasly, chucked it down into lean revs. I've realized, oh my god, he's just completely boulder wide, and we've got the position back. We're back up onto the podium, lads. Get in. But to be honest, I'm actually not that enthused about that, because I don't have the pace. I don't have the front-running pace of Verstappen and Bottas. Like I said, the rear end it's very subtle. When I turn into a corner, the car is just sliding. There's not enough downforce. There's not enough grip to really get me through the high-speed corners in the fashion that I would like to. And as well, still kind of feeling my way through this throttle issue. Qualifying is one thing, like hooking up a good lap. Even though I didn't fully nail qualifying, you can jag a couple of good corners together. It's only like 6-7 corners around here in Austria, but in a 100% race, your consistency, your feel, your confidence, your muscle memory is tested on every corner. And yeah, with this throttle problem, I'm sorry to keep banging on about it, because it is important for the context of this video. I can't push the limit that I want to consistently. Still struggling to lay down the, like, even there, still getting a bit of a delay. You really have to be quite delicate with your application of the throttle, and I'm still just trying to, find that threshold of getting on the power early-ish, but I can't burst it into wheel spin. I can't just go, yeah, 50%, and then that's good as gold. I need to find the almost bite point of when the throttle kicks in game, and then progressively go from there. Completely different driving style for this race. But at this point, at the late stage of this first stint, this is where I really started to struggle, because the rear tires now are going off, and again, the goalposts continually move. But as well as that, I was getting quite frustrated at this point. I was frustrated that we couldn't... oh, that's bad through the last corner. I think that was caused by the curb. We turned in from the curb and maybe turned in too harshly. But the car has been sliding around a little bit over the course of this race, and with the tires going off now, it's made it worse. But yeah, I'm not in a good frame of mind. Not driving overly well at the back end of this first stint. And yeah, there was just frustration bubbling over, I suppose. But we'll hopefully get onto a fresh set of tires very, very soon. And we'll start from scratch again, and hopefully the medium can suit this car, suit me a little bit better. But for the time being, we are struggling. As soon as we lost touch to Gasly, who we were, I did let him go. I was sticking in his slipstream and DRS for like 15 laps, and then as soon as I lost touch to Gasly, my goodness, did he break away. And that's when my extra mistakes kicked in a few laps ago. So yeah, that is the first stint in a nutshell. We are now into the pit lane now, And we are going to box onto another set of soft compound tyres, seeming like the 2-stop is faster here. But in a 50% race, with double the tyre wear, a 1-stop is faster. But it all makes sense. I mean, maybe you could still do a 1-stop in this race if you went straight from softs to mediums. Maybe you'd have to get to like the back end of 27, 28 laps, and then mediums to the end, and you could probably make a 1-stop work. But because there's so many laps, a 2-stop with fresh tyres makes more sense, as there's a safety car. We've run into the back of Ocon on the way into the pit lane. I've got a 5-second time penalty. Ocon's got a 5-second time penalty. I can't keep up with what's going on screen, but basically, Ocon going slowly. I thought if I took the normal racing line, he would have... I didn't expect him to go as slow as what he did, basically. Serving the penalty now. Front wing change. Thankfully, that safety car coming out has actually saved my race. Because it's going to bunch up the field again. We're only on that new set of soft compound tyres for like a lap. That was my out lap, and we're into the pit lane again. We switched to mediums this time. Because I think for that middle stint, we didn't have a new set of softs. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to mediums, and I'm giving myself the option, like I said, of going to the end of the Grand Prix. Because if you think about this, logically, in a 50% race, this is about the pit stop window of making it to the end on mediums. And soft medium is the fastest race strategy. So I'm leaving my options open. We can stay out to the end, but if need be, we can box for softs and go for a fastest lap and make a charge towards the race leaders. But I think it's a good idea. I think it's a great idea to mix up the strategy and do something different to the rest of the pack, because literally everyone else, dive bomb on Lance Stroll down at turn 4, and that is job done. Everyone else in this field is on the soft compound tyre, so if there's a safety car later that is ill-timed for the AI, then we are in the money with 40 laps to go. There's a yellow flag. Who is that for? It's for someone up ahead. They're going slowly. It's Sebastian Vettel. So he pulls off to the side. I nearly had a run at my teammate Nicholas Latifi, but unfortunately my exit and my momentum was killed by that. Vettel's out of the Grand Prix. Safety car is out once again in this Austrian Grand Prix. And I think this actually helps me. If anything, I'm just kind of stream sniping everyone else's fuel loads on their steering wheels. And turns out a lot of people... well, half the field is over, half the field's under. But based on fuel numbers right now, if we don't kill the fuel, we are going to be kilos overweight come the end of the Grand Prix. So we're just going to burn a little bit of fuel under the safety car. But like I was saying, I think this is actually going to help us, because the soft compound tyre runners on their preferred tyre are going to get dragged back towards me again. They're going to have older tyres, and it's actually not going to be too long until they need to make another stop. Maybe about 10 laps or so. So this is actually really helping me, as well as looking after my tyres, if I want to go to the end of the Grand Prix without making another pit stop. So, after about, 5 solid minutes of melting the ice caps, we are ready to go. Once again, engine's a little overheated, but it should normalize as we're on lean revs now and just bringing it back to normalized temperatures through these last 2 corners. We are going to get ready to make a charge towards these guys who are on aging soft compound tires. It might take a few laps for us to phase into this stint, but when we do, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to make some big inroads on these midfield runners at the back end of the top 10. And bearing in mind, these guys need to stop in about 10 laps time, maybe less. So the track position is really going to come to us in what is only going to be a short amount of time. We just need to stay with these guys as much as possible. And if we play our cards right, we might actually be leading this race in the final 20 or so laps. That's if we decide to stick it out on this one stop. So here we go. We've waited a couple laps. I really was pushing as much as I could, and I couldn't make any inroads on Nicholas Latifi, but I knew I had to be patient because I knew that the pace would come to us eventually. These guys would start to slow down. We're getting close now. We do get up the inside of our teammate, and the employee lets the boss, the team boss, go through for P9. Now, we're slowly starting to unravel this DRS train, which we were stuck behind. You can see there is, ahead of Carlos Sainz, a bit of an air gap to the next group of cars. So I really want to get past these guys now as we get up the inside of Ocon, the man who we made contact with just a few laps ago. Bit of a happy weave there as we've essentially broken the DRS train. Carlos Sainz is now isolated, so now that should be a much easier overtake to get done. We try to go around the outside of turn 4. I should have known better. The outside never really works at that corner unless you've got much fresher tyres, much faster pace. Now, next lap, we're catching up to Sainz again. Round the outside of turn 3. And that is us now up into 6th place in this Austrian Grand Prix. One thing I will say now is with the stoppages, with the reset, essentially, I've had a mental reset with the safety car and having my chance of trying to win this race or get a podium reinstated in this race. It was a good reset for me, and now I'm actually driving a lot better than what I was in the first stint. Also, the fuel loads coming down is helping this setup thrive a little bit more, as the track is also coming to us by getting gripped up. That's Danny Kvyat getting a 5-second penalty for something. Maybe I wasn't the only one who simultaneously made contact with someone as the safety car was brought out by, I think it was Matsushita's retirement. So, yeah, GG's to Williams and Matsushita for having that very timely retirement. It's saved our race. But anyway, all the soft compound tyre runners are in. And I am going to tell you exactly what I was thinking at this point. The gap to Bottas and Verstappen is 3 seconds here. I thought if I box now for softs, I am not going to win this race. I don't have the pace. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay out. I'm going to keep staying out until there is a safety car. Or until the checkered flag drops, which is essentially what we're doing now. So we are going to risk it. And we're going to try and win this race by just keeping the track position. Park the bus. This is a throwback to my super old career modes on F1 2013, 14, 15. Whenever I was in a slow crap car, arguably in shorter race distances, and worse AI, you actually could park the bus as long as your straight line speed was good enough and you didn't make mistakes. But here on 2020, in a 100% race, the circumstances are much, much different, and this is going to be some task to keep these guys behind for 15 laps. There goes Bottas round the outside, heading down into turn 3. We need to answer back straight away if we're going to have any chance of winning this race. Nice exit out of turn 3, which the AI coincidentally struggle at. Bottas absolutely blocking every direction that I go into. Down into turn 4, contact made again, lock up on the inside front, and we lead this race once more. what an exchange that was, but unfortunately that's given us a bit of front wing damage. As you can see here, look at the floor element of the wing. Just a tiny little shark bite taken out of that. For the most part, it is just visual. That actually won't have any kind of performance impact, or at least I don't think. It's not enough to be noticeable, that's for sure. But there's the move getting done. We hit back straight away on Bottas. If we didn't get that move done there, race over. Race for trying to win this race over, unless there's a safety car. But once again, we lead this race. And I'll tell you something as well that's quite important for the context of this battle. Through the middle sector, I was starting to actually save my tires. So I realized that even though I was slow in the middle sector, it was rare that the AI were going to put me under pressure. So I'm kind of using lean revs to look after the rears. I'm trying to back off the pace a little bit to look after the tires, because I know that the deeper we get into this race, I feel like the stronger we're going to get. It's going to suit my setup a little bit more. I'm going to get an even better feel for the car and the throttle issue. And the AI, I think, might have stronger tire wear, or stronger wear than what we will, because we do have tire wear upgrades. So as long as I can stay ahead of these guys. Their advantage diminishes with each passing lap. As you can see, pushing Verstappen right up against the white line as we head down into turn 3 for the 58th time. And again, we out-traction him on the exit of that corner, which is one of the weakest for the AI at any corner, at any circuits on this game. So that is rather fortunate. That's a big reason why this is a strong circuit for the player as we try and defend from Max Verstappen going around the outside through the middle sector. No tire saving elements happening on that time by. But, you know, as long as I can get a smooth, transitional, nice exit, that made no sense, we shouldn't be under pressure from Verstappen. But in order to do that, I need to nail my exit. I need to run in rich and overtake, and also break the slipstream a little bit, which I'm starting to do now. There's only 11 laps to go now in this race, and things are slowly becoming a little bit easier for me. You'll notice my times are actually getting better, despite battling these guys this whole time. The pace is getting stronger, even with the tire wear. So the track is coming to us. I'm getting a better feel for this circuit. Verstappen is not going to die wondering in this Austrian Grand Prix. There's now 10 laps to go. Make that 9 as we're on lap 62 now. As we head through turn 1. This is a corner which can be tricky for us. It's hard to get on the power nice and early, but Verstappen is always using overtake on the run up to the hill. It's always very, very potent. He hugs the inside as we tackle turn 3 now. Pinched on the inside, and we're able to somehow out-traction him. Here's the replay, and little to my knowledge, he actually locked up on the inside there and was pinched on the inside. Was I think wary about making contact with me, and as such, his exit was pretty terrible. So, oh wow! Speaking of terrible exits, Verstappen is going to have me for breakfast down here at turn 3. But again, we have the outside line. So, as long as I don't panic, as long as I don't make a mistake, and continue to get consistently good exits at turn 3, then we should be okay. Just sorry about this, guys. I just had to scratch my nose real quick, and we're back in the game. Yeah, of course, 110 difficulty for those who will probably undoubtedly question it. There you go, you bloody sim racing elitists. But anyway, 7 laps to go. I don't know why the elitists would be watching career mode videos, but still, we digress through turn 1. Mate, I can't lay down the power down there for whatever reason. Just when the car is, I guess, laterally loaded a little bit, the medium speed corners are just not great for me. But yeah, the straight line speed of this car, utilizing rich and overtake, is really saving my bacon here. This could be the last chance we have to have like a race like this. You know, with engine modes being taken away, the chances of maybe utilizing strategies like this could be the way of the past. Saving fuel, saving tires. It's going to completely change on F1 2021. As you can see, Verstappen gets held up massively by Antonio Giovinazzi, and he's lost about half a second there, but within a corner, he's back to where he was anyway. So the dirty air coupled with my amazing straight line speed and good exits at the corners that matter mean that these race leaders are continually frustrated, unable to do anything. A train is now starting to form. As you can see, Valtteri Bottas goes up the inside of Max Verstappen, but completely throws it away at the very next corner, and Verstappen is into P2 once again. Wow, if I had the choice of any of these two drivers leading, I would say I prefer Bottas to be the leader of those, because his AI and that Mercedes, well, particularly Bottas, is a little bit more passive than Max Verstappen. The times where Bottas was attacking me, or tried to attack me, he didn't really get close. So, but Verstappen is the opposite. He is all over me on every single corner. At this point, I actually can't really relax anymore. I can't save the tires. But at this point, I don't really want to save the tires. That phase of the Grand Prix is now gone, and we're just going hell for leather, corner after corner, maximum attack We've been able, with these small stoppages in play, with Giovinazzi giving me a bit of a breather, with other moments where the AI have been battling behind me, has given me a chance at times to save my ERS and get back in a defendable position. We are now on the last 2 laps of this Austrian Grand Prix, and still we remain in the lead by some miracle. There's been no safety car, no interventions. We've literally had to defend this every single lap, and now Bottas is making a move on Verstappen round the outside at turn 3. Is he going to make it stick though? That is the question. No, he does not. It's Verstappen who reigns supreme for now. That's a terrible run through the middle sector for me. And all of a sudden, that comfort that we had for half a lap is now diminished. But I was able to save my ERS. You can see massive moment through the last 2 corners. And now Verstappen actually didn't get a great run because I blocked him. Or, well, I halted his progress, I suppose. But you can see here, defending down into the last 2 corners. The tyres at this point are nearing explosion. They are nearing puncture territory. And I just went that a little bit too quickly into the last 2 corners. I guess the occasion starting to get the better of me as we're now on the last lap of this race. And Bottas is now in second. Look at the tyres, 73% on the left rear tyre. Here comes George Russell around the outside of Max Verstappen. He's getting his ears boxed in now. He's off the podium. He's out of 4th. He might be in 5th place now. As you can see, the AlphaTauri and the Ferrari drivers respectively getting themselves up on the podium. It's going to be Russell and Kvyat fighting it out for that final spot. But it's going to come down to myself and Bottas on this last lap. Again, we have a little bit of breathing space as we run through the middle sector. We know how strong the AI are through this particular couple corners. We've got to keep our wits about us here. Up in a rich and overtake for the final time. Just 2 more corners to go. And hopefully we won't throw this away like we did the league race only a couple of weeks ago. Through the last 2 corners, 74% on the left rear tyre. We have got this to perfection, and we are going to win the Austrian Grand Prix.
Great job. You've done everything we wanted today.
Everything and more. 25 points. What a turnaround after that first stint of the race. I can't believe it.
A fantastic team effort to secure victory here in the Styrian Alps. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you pit for fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
Here comes your top 3 making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula 1.
What a fantastic day for Marduk Motorsport. I think Bottas was looking a little too happy on that podium. If I was him, I would be absolutely fuming that someone like me has absolutely lucked their way into this win. That's what I think it is, a little bit. After the circumstances of not being able to push properly, particularly through the early stages of the weekend and even this race, that safety car was a massive reset. We were forced into a scenario of desperation, and from that, we were able to get the ultimate prize. We have won this race, and we've turned our championship hopes around. Max Verstappen not having a good day at the end of that, losing a couple of places, falling off the podium, and losing out to us in the driver's standings. Alexander Albon, I know he started outside the top 10. I actually don't know where he finished. You'll have to rewind the video to see that. But all of that has meant the championship is mega close right now. Albon and Bottas, the 2 Mercedes teammates, are level on points. And we are only 3 away as we head into Silverstone, the worst circuit on the calendar on this game. Genuinely, I think even with the upgrades that we are inevitably going to bring into that race, I think it's going to be tough to score points just being brutally honest with you. But we will do our best. It's a 100% race, and it's not going to be easy to hang on to Silverstone level AI. But anyway, we take these wins. We absolutely need every single point we can get. Only a 10 race calendar, but I tell you what, each and every event means so much in the context of this championship. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Really do enjoy making these career mode videos, and I'm really glad to see that you guys still enjoy watching them, even after 100 episodes, and the new game only being, you know, so close around the corner as well is very humbling. I didn't realize I was blocking the McLaren into the pit lane, but either way, we got away with that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Apologies about the lengthy break between career mode episodes. Who would have predicted us getting early gameplay of the new game? Obviously, that's going to take priority, but hopefully there should be no more interruptions, and we can really run through these episodes now to see how the chapter ends, or how the story ends for Marduk Motorsport. More on that later. I'm going to put it to you guys. Do you guys want to see Marduk Motorsport continue on F1 2021, or should we have a different team name? That's something I want to address either in a tweet or a future video or something like that. So stay tuned for that. But either way, thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.